Cool. So we just have a little bit left. It's basically cleanup here. Questioning. I'm a little tempted to just redo this ending again because I think I got one of these questions wrong. Unless I did it from the top. We shall see. Let's have a look here. Oh, 35 consecutive streams. Let's go, Archie. That's a very relatable story. Once upon a time, there was Archie who went to take a nap around 4 after work to rest his eyes for half an hour. Anyways, it's midnight. How are you doing? Thank you for the good luck. And I assume you had a good sleep. Good morning, kind of. Welcome, Archie. I don't know what we're doing. Here we go. So we had some questions that we were answering. And thanks, Dark Shocks. Take it easy. Assuming you're taken off because of the spoilery stuff. Totally fair. All right, did you find any other possible evidence to support our theory regarding Evan's unlawful confinement? Yes or no? I'm assuming yes. What evidence did we find? There were multiple points to make. We'll discuss them separately. One-word answers will suffice. Unlawful captivity. Well, I mean, the cave, right? Rope? Rope fibers on the floor of the smokehouse. I was just gonna say, we found him. Like, you found us in the cave, tied up, next to each other. Like, you know what I mean? He was certainly not confined there under his own power, you know. Don't regret it. Let's go. Nice. Fate of Atlantis went well. We had one of the runs of all time, my best run, and we managed to somehow squeak in with a new world record, which is quite exciting. I think we beat it by around the 7 or so seconds, 7 or 8 seconds. So it was good. A couple down RNG moments. The maze was a little unlucky, and Monte Carlo was on the slower side, but the rest of the run was really good. And that was enough to get us there, which was cool. Yeah, it went well. Yes, Mr. Richards has said as much. All of the evidence we can gather will help us build a case against Nessa. How did you figure out that Mr. Richards was taken to the Garnet Mine? If you're not sure, you can just say no or pass. Jelly. Mr. Richards had used the jam from Jack's thumbprint cookies to draw a hidden symbol. The symbol was a red circle surrounded by a little round red boulder. Red? It was raspberry jam. I tasted it. Tasted it? Yes, it was delicious. The symbol even resembled the thumbprint cookies, which I learned are called Hallangrata in Swedish. Hallangrata means raspberry cave in English. And raspberry cave could be a garnet mine. Exactly. Mr. Richards was talking about the garnet mines at dinner on the night I arrived in Crimson. He said they'd been deserted for years. It was the perfect place to hide him. Mr. Richards told us that Nessa was attempting to intimidate him into assigning a forged copy of his own will. Do you have any knowledge that might back his claim? Yes or no? Yes. I'll have like a sneeze coming. So if I randomly cut out, that's what happened. Yes, we do know that. What did you learn? I mean, like, we have the will. Intimidate him. Intimidate him. I mean, the almonds? Carpets? Yes. Carpets. Hello, Stripes. How did you uncover Nessa's evil plan? Jelly. There it is. Mr. Richards is allergic to almonds and has been since childhood. It was common knowledge, and Nessa brought Jordan almonds in with her when she returned to the lodge. I found the shattered pieces of Jordan almonds in the smokehouse where I believe Mr. Richards was briefly held. I managed to recover one of Nessa's fingerprints from the remnants of the shiny candy shells. Stellar work, Nancy. Our investigative team didn't find that. Well, okay. What's more is there were more Jordan Ullman pieces in the cavern where Nessa brought it. There's no doubt in my mind that Nessa brought the Jordan Ullmans to the lodge, knowing full well how dangerous they were to Mr. Richards. Maybe at first she only planned to intimidate him with them, but in the end, it was prevented. She was prevented from doing any worse. Let's move on to Corvus Shaw's role in Mr. Richards' kidnapping. Do you have any evidence that connect Corvus to these crimes? Yes or no? Well, other than the fact that we did find him trapped in the cave. I mean, can we just write cave? The will. What's the word you're looking for? So Corvus, I mean, footprints is the easy one. Found Corvus's footprints on the jetty and leading in the smokehouse. The shoe prints on the jetty must have been formed when he stepped onto the spilt whiskey, and they were still wet. That suggests to me that he was either present during the abduction of Mr. Richards or soon after. Considering the scuff marks I saw on the jetty, Mr. Richards was dragged away with some force. I doubt Nessa, an elderly lady, could have dragged her brother away with that amount of force. That's terrific work, Nancy. Our investigators didn't see any shoe prints on the jetty. They must have dried before we got there. But now that we know that they're there, perhaps some forensic processes will help reveal them. I think Corvus's movements during that time are pretty clear. Very thorough of you. Every bit helps. Do you have anything else to share that could connect Corvus to the crimes perpetrated on Mr. Richards? Please continue or say no, and I'll ask you another question. I mean, does he have any fingerprints that are in there? No? Scuffle. Yeah, right. He was there. Yeah, that's like why I wrote cave. I'm like, he was in the cave. Like, he was there when it all happened. Like, he was like, I appreciate that Nessa was not there, and you have to build the case against her. Corvus is like red-handed at the you know, fake will. Document. Satchel. The report? The report was forged, right? I mean, is it a bribe? Like he bribed Albert? Give me just 1 second. My nose is like, we've moved past sneeze into like runny nose, so just give me a second. We're back. Holy moly. Intense speed running has led to intense nose running. Do I have an inventory or anything? Oh, we can look at our inventory. Okay, cool. I feel like maybe I should look at the notebook a little bit more. Like, I don't know how to just say, like, you've already arrested him. Yeah, we gotta roll all the way back, I guess, to the beginning here. I do wish that this notebook was just a little bit simpler to read. But this is certainly good enough. Looking for a will. So I've used the word will, and it didn't work. The will, I feel like, would capture everything. This is sort of the thing. Is there a better word, I guess? Yeah, it's just will. Someone's last will and testament. Handwriting? Oh, powder. Can we do this? Can we do this here? Powder will. You don't think soiling such an important document is a good idea? More evidence for something later. Is this not the moment? Will? This is the question, Santa. Do you have any other evidence that could connect Corvus to Evan's kidnapping, yes or no? So I've said yes. And we've already talked about the footprints. So I'm trying to say, hey, like, I literally have a will that this guy wrote up himself. Will is relevant later. Okay, so there's a later point for that. Okay. Is there anything else? I mean, obviously, if I'm being asked the question, there must be something else. So I've tried fingerprint. That didn't work. There is, and I haven't. Ooh, okay. Let's see. We got this box of flypaper. Hat, streak plate, drinking glass, mug. Samples, duck call. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, unless I have to write mineralogical report. Report did not work either, I believe. But I guess that's more for Nessa. Albert's telegraph tape. Bullet, blasting cap. These are all things we grabbed at the end. Rubble sample. Coarse garnets, crystal sample. I mean, maybe there's launch map. Scrolled past it. I'm sure it's in here. Oh, the metal button, of course. Button. Found this metal button, which the button was like not necessarily insignificant during the actual game, but like we couldn't do anything else other than be like, oh, that's interesting when it happened. Recovered outside the smokehouse. Yeah. Observed Corvus wearing a striped vest with this exact type of button that very same night. If you examine the clothing he was wearing at the time, I'm sure you'll find that one of the buttons is missing. We did indeed take note of the missing button, and now we know what happened to it. This is a very good piece of evidence, Nancy. May I have it? Of course. Do you have anything else that to share that could connect Corvus to crimes perpetrated against Mr. Richards? Sure. What else? I mean, I can try fly paper. Was he involved with that? I don't know if we actually do have anything else, but... because I think like this... trowel, newspaper, ice pick, hammer, the 3 samples, the duck call, adhesive plaster, wax print, Small silver key. Where did this go again? This was the one to the vanity, or the desk in Margot's room. Margot's hair. Damp map. Discarded jar. Yeah, that's... I mean, jar is for Nessa. Plan. We overheard a plan. I mean, presence. Presence at the... Oops, not L. What is it? Notebook. Like, presence in the cave. We saw him, like, trying to loot all of the drawers and stuff in the office. Let's just make sure we didn't miss anything else. Margot is involved in Skagway. Yeah. Corvus fingerprint. I've already typed in fingerprint. Okay, these are just like the collecting the fingerprints thing. That was a fun time. Garlic. But we already know, kind of like pinned that on Nessa. Although he was complicit. These are all of the... This is the injection box, sure. Jam jar. Add arsenic. Yeah, again, this is more Nessa stuff. Listen to their conversation. Could say conversation. Nessa and Corvus are up to something. That's not hard evidence, though, is it? We already did footprints, so the size check is all good. Nessa's fingerprint found on the decanter. Oh. Over top of the buttons there. Tell the ranger about the yeah. The button we handed in. Smokehouse. Air. Shoe sizes. Did the investigation. Scuff marks on the jetty. Did I do scuff? I think we did scuff already. Dragged away. I guess that was all part of the shoes, though. Almond prints. Yeah. Corvus's satchel. I tried satchel, didn't work. Drawers. Yeah, this is where we searched everything until we found, well, we had to figure out how to pour water on him or whatever. Report. So yeah, report we've used. We've also done the will. It's right there. Ruby brooch. Two fingerprints on the brooch. But that was just Jack, right? Everything leads to Nessa pretty straight up. Like, that one was the easier one to prove. And this is the digging section here. I could just try to say, like mine. I was using cave before. Mine. Like, he was there. He was there. Garlic is not there. What was the other word that I was thinking about? Will, report, brooch. It's a tough one. Yeah, if Satchel or Will or report didn't, then I guess no. Moving on. All right. What about the lesser crimes? We suspect Corvus was brought to the lodge by Nessa to commit fraud. Do you know anything that would help us build on that? Was this not what we... This is all tied together, sir. Okay. Yes, we do have that. Welcome back, Summer. What proof do you have that Corvus intended on engaging in fraud? Will. Found Mr. Richards' last will and testament in Corvus' satchel. It stated that Nessa was to get everything after his death. Although it had not been signed by Mr. Richards, and the writing was in Corvus' hand, that seemed pretty fishy to me. Very interesting. Do you happen to have that document? I sure do. You hand the questionable document over to the ranger. Thanks, Nancy. You're welcome. What about Carl Leffler, aka Albert Respa? What can you tell me about him? Rangers apprehended him in the middle of his sabotage attempt on the Sioux Locks, so that's an open and shut case. But we suspect this man is involved in other illegal acts. Do you think you can attribute other criminal activities to him? Yes or no? Probably. Yes. Report. Found in a field report in Corvus' satchel that was identical to the indentations on the paper in the waste paper basket. I was able to read the full field report, and it's clear to me that Albert was stringing terms together without actually knowing what they meant. Fascinating. You wouldn't happen to have that field report, would you? As a matter of fact, I do. You hand the field report over to Ranger Murdoch. Great work, Nancy. It's not worth the paper it's written on. Any mineralogist will tell you that. The Geological Survey of Canada would never endorse it. I'll be writing my own field report, which I'm hoping the Royal Canadian Museum will publish. I'm proud of the work I did. With any luck, my report will be a newly definitive survey of Crimson, Ontario. Sorry, got carried away. Back on topic. The terrorist here. I saw Carl, hand a manila envelope to Nessa during the meeting near the gazebo. She paid him handsomely for it. She said that she'd paid for a report that says there are diamonds in Crimson. He said the report would make her rich, which it certainly would have. I'd bet she'd entrusted the field report to Corvus for safekeeping. I was witness to a secret meeting in the boathouse between Nathan and Albert. I clearly heard Albert saying that the contents of the envelope he was carrying was a report signed and sealed that there were no diamonds in Crimson. Nathan paid him for his version of the field report. My theory is that Albert was scamming both of them. He figured he could make some quick money off both of them. He wasn't seriously conducting field work. He didn't even know how. And he knew he'd be kilometers away before either of them found out. I wish I had something to show or tell Ranger Murdoch about that. I'm sorry, I was mistaken. Can we continue? Of course. What do you mean you don't have... We have... I guess we didn't collect the report from Nathan, I guess? I think we just have the one, huh? I mean, a cigar. What about the kit? The stolen kit? I have suspicions about what happened to my luggage on the train ride, but nothing more. I wonder if I missed something. I did smell cigar smoke on the train, and the brand that Albert smokes. But that isn't enough to prove that he was the one in the train car with me and Kimmy, with the opportunity to toss my luggage. A lawyer could always say the brand of cigar is coincidence. I need something else to catch him in the place him in the coach car. I think Carl may have disposed of my luggage on the train to Crimson, but I don't have anything concrete. No worries, Nancy. If you have something else to tell me about Leffler, just say so, or just say no and we'll move on. How about that cigar butt, Nancy? It could prove helpful too. Certainly. There you go. If you have something else you'd like to tell me about him, just say so. Okay. What else? Do we have anything else about this guy? Anything incriminating? I mean, the telegraph tape? The telegraph. What do you mean that's not incriminating? Maybe it's not this one. I mean, if... Really? Okay. I disagree. But that's fine. The bullet? Yes. Okay. I guess these are other things, I suppose. Tap. I think Carl sabotaged the train bridge. On the same strip of telegraph tape that revealed Albert's real name and next target for sabotage, it said, "Well done in Crimson." I found a stick of dynamite under his bed. How about that? I think I rolled there when he was packing hurriedly to leave the lodge. On the way to the lodge that first night in Crimson, Jack commented on how heavy Carl's set of luggage was. I bet most of Carl's luggage was dedicated to hauling explosive equipment, dynamite and blasting caps. In fact, I found a tin of blasting caps that Carl left in the lodge, as well as a bullet. He was definitely up to no good. Gee, thanks. Carl's fingerprint is on this tin of blasting caps. He definitely handled them. Excellent work, may I have it? It's very compelling evidence. Of course, here you go. Carl knew to store the dynamite separately from the blasting caps. He probably had training with explosives, or at least some prior knowledge. And I'm almost certain if Rangers search the immediate area around the bridge, they will find discarded luggage, possibly part of the same set, with explosive residue inside. It's very helpful information. We originally suspected Leffler of the bridge sabotage, but hadn't thought to search for the luggage that matches the set he was carrying when we arrested him at the Sioux Locks. That'd be a very compelling connection to make, should we find such an item. Speaking of items, do you happen to have this telegraph tape? I do. There you go. Thanks, Nancy. Do you have the bullet? Absolutely, here it is. Thanks, Nancy. If you have something else you'd like to tell me about Leffler, just say so, or we can move on. Is there anything else we can say about this guy? Other than he was a real piece of work. Damp map. Map. Yes. Map. Damp. Oops. Kimmy map. Okay, I guess not. Oh. Song change. And finally, Margot's death. Margot's murder. It does appear to be the case. We're looking into it. Do you have any evidence that you'd like to give me that could help us make a case for her murder? Yes. Glad to hear it. Show me one item at a time. When you're done, just say so. Hair. Took this sample of Margot's hair after she died. I read that hair analysis can sometimes help determine the cause of death. Yes, indeed. I can't make any promises, but this could help us with our investigation. We hand the lock of hair over to Ranger Murdoch. Thanks. Do you have anything else to show me? I'd prefer to be able to live in peace, actually. We're making a case to just murk her. I found this empty box of flypaper in the shed. After reading this tiny warning label, I discovered it contains arsenic. Jack maintains a supply of flypaper at the lodge, but this is the only box that was in the shed. The box looks crisp and new, but it's empty. I suspect Nessa was stealing flypaper and extracting arsenic from it. An interesting theory, Nancy. May I take this box into evidence? Of course. There you go. Anything else? Jar. I recovered this jam jar from the river by Crimson Lodge. I think it's a key piece of evidence against Nessa regarding Margot's poisoning. You hand the jam jar over to Ranger Murdoch. Thanks, Nancy. What can you tell me about it? Well, there's a powdery white residue inside along with a bit of flypaper. I'd be very interested to learn what the residue is, though I wouldn't be surprised if it's arsenic. Really? Yes, the box with the flypaper strips warns that they contain arsenic. Pretty dangerous stuff. We'll find out one way or another. Thanks, Nancy. I also found a fingerprint on the outside of the jam jar, and guess whose it is? Nessa's. You go a long way in connecting Nessa to Margot's death, possibly ruling the death of poisoning. Excellent work. What's more is I also overheard Nessa having a conversation with Corvus in the apple orchard. She admitted to soaking the flypaper in glass jars to obtain poison, storing it in her flask, and tossing the jars all over the waterfall. That's pretty incriminating, especially if the evidence can back up your story. Hopefully Miss Crabbe will still have the flask in her possession when we apprehend her. That would really build a case against her. Thanks. Do you have anything else to show me? Of course I do. I think I do. I think so. I think I've got you. How about Margot's drinking glass? Saw Nessa bring a jug and a drinking glass to Margot's boudoir. That struck me as suspicious because there was no love lost between them. Ahoy, El Pollo Diablo, welcome. Later, some of the water evaporated and a white residue was left behind. Yeah, that is very suspicious. May I have this, Nancy? Our lab will want to analyze it. Of course, here you go. That's all of the evidence I have to show you. I firmly believe that Nessa murdered Margot with poison, and I firmly believe that that when Nessa is found, she should stand trial for her crimes. Margot deserves justice. You clearly feel strongly against this. Were you a close friend of hers? How I felt about her doesn't matter. What happened was wrong. I agree. I'll get to the bottom of this, Nancy. I promise. You head home after completing your interview with Ranger Murdoch, and you immediately set to work on your field report of Crimson. You write at length about the samples you've obtained and the observations you've made, though you do leave out a few details, such as that there are diamonds in Crimson. And Crimson diamonds at that. It's the name. Professor Plummer proves to be an enthusiastic and patient mentor, despite his mild disappointment at the unremarkable findings. You impressed him with your attention to detail and hard work. Together, you produce an impeccable field report that is published by the Royal Canadian Museum and eventually endorsed by the Geological Survey of Canada. Your first publication, Nancy, are a real feather in your cap. Weeks pass. Soon, you're immersed in your regular life. You've become an expert on the filing system and even suggest some ways to improve it. You find yourself missing the fresh air, the roaring waterfalls, the rushing rivers of Crimson. You wonder if you'll ever hear about how things are going up there, until one day. There you are, Nancy. I thought today's newspaper might be of interest to you. You start reading the newspaper. The largest article is about Nessa Crabbe, She's considered a fugitive and wanted in connection with Margot's murder, her brother's kidnapping, assault, and attempted fraud. The article mentions that Nessa's alleged accomplice, Corvus Shaw, is being charged for his role in Margot's murder, Evan's kidnapping, assault, and attempted fraud. You're relieved to see no mention of Crimson anywhere, not even in the smallest news items. You figure no news is good news. There's no mention at all about Carl's attempted sabotage on the Sioux locks, only that there will be minor delays due to routine maintenance. They probably want to make sure there aren't any more explosive devices in and around the locks. Had Albert succeeded, ... You shudder to think of it. You skim the rest of the newspaper, but nothing else catches your eye. That's a relief, I suppose. All right, time to go. Too bad about the whole diamond fiasco, eh, Nancy? But we both knew it was a long shot. Good work today, kiddo. I'll see you tomorrow, bright and early. Yes, sir. You start the long walk home. You're relieved that Crimson won't become an open pit mine, and that Kimmy and her cormorants are safe and happy. Shout out to the birds. Hiya, Nancy. Another late night, eh? I got a bit of stew saved for you, kept it nice and warm on the stove. Thanks, Miss Williams. I'm starving. Go on in, lass. I'll serve it up. I'll be down in a bit. Okay, lass, take your time. The old Lucky Diner. Miss Williams ladles a hearty bowl of stew and slices a bit of bread for you. The food is delicious and warms you to the bone. She sits with you, and the two of you chat about the goings-on in the neighborhood. You're grateful she rents you a room so cheaply. Museum clerks don't get paid very much. Once your belly is full and Mrs. Williams has washed the bowl, he waves at you away from the menial task. You step lightly upstairs, lest you wake the other lodgers. You fall asleep as your head hits the pillow. You're exhausted, and tomorrow will be another exhausting day. Every exhausting day is another step closer to making your dreams come true. Well done, Nancy. The next morning. You pick up the envelope. It's from Mr. Richards. There's a bit of bulk to it. You're surprised the envelope fit under the door. You open the envelope and read the letter inside. The letter reads, Dear Nancy, hope you're well. Me and Jack are doing well, and so's Kimmy. She's been helping out around the lodge. I'm grateful. Letter bomb. Twist. Kimmy still plans on staying on to see what the fall bird migration will look like in Crimson. I've told her about the birds I've seen in previous years, and she seems excited. You're a good soul. Now that things have calmed down and I've had time to rest and think on things, I wanted to say thank you. I've got no doubt you'll make your way in this world and succeed on your own terms. And thank you especially for caring about what happened to Margot and doing something about it. Nessa will be behind bars the rest of her life. From what I hear, she quite likes the strict rules and routine. I'm just relieved that Nessa will never intrude upon my life ever again. Thanks. My gal Margot lived a whole nother life before she met me. I know all about it, she told me. I knew she was sick, none of it mattered to me. I just wish I'd died first. But never mind about the past, Nancy. Let's talk about the future. Margot was a very successful businesswoman up in Skagway, which is what brought her unwanted attention from some unsavory people. She had to do certain things to protect herself, including leaving town quick. She had to leave some things behind. She buried them and told me where. Now I'm telling you where. Coordinates and directions enclosed. If you're up for an adventure, seek out what she's buried. It's all yours. You earned it. But just wait for spring to set in and take the time to plan the journey. Skagway is a long way away, so I've enclosed something to help pay your way there. Take it to a jeweler with deep pockets and sell it. If you'd rather not make the trek to Skagway, sell it and use to pay for your education, your dreams, or just enjoy life. It's up to you. Nathan sends his regards, which reminds me, I've already transferred ownership of the lodge and the lands to Nathan. I should have done that a long time ago. I'm living in his house now. Well, we all are. Take care, Nancy. You're welcome at the lodge anytime. Nathan says so, and so do I. Signed, Evan Richards. You unwrap a little bundle of cloth and are stunned to find yourself holding Margot's white garnet necklace. Oh no, this probably isn't a garnet. You can't resist the call to adventure. You sell the necklace and spend the bleak, monotonous winter months in the city planning your trip up to Skagway. At long last, the weather becomes warmer. You book a train trip out west. By the time you arrive in Vancouver, it's the start of summer. You manage to book passage on a large fishing vessel through the Georgia Strait, along the coast of British Columbia and into Alaska. From there, it's a quick jaunt up the Lynn Canal on a familiar, smaller fishing vessel and into Skagway proper. Like a familiar one? No, I just made that up. The fisherman drops you off at the dock bright and early. Tells you he'll pick you up at the end of his workday, after which you'll spend the night in Juneau. You head into the wilderness, fending off the largest black flies you've ever seen. Eventually, you find the spot that Evan described in his letter. Oh, look at this. Look at this background, EGA in all its glory. This is it. A note has been added to your notebook. Oh, what are we doing here? What is our note? Dig under the bush. Okay. I guess I'll make a save here just because why not, you know? Bush. Dig under bush. Oh, hang on. Actually, before I... Oh! I did it too fast. I wanted to look first. Hang on. Ignore it. Just but a minor blip. Gotta enjoy this thing here. There we go. We're loaded back up. While the area close to Skagway's dock was broken down and abandoned, this area is resplendent with natural beauty. The sky is clear. Newly bloomed wildflowers are sprinkled on the steep rocky hill. Endless mountain ranges stretch into the distance. I don't know, bush. Enjoy the view. Cool. The up-down walking. It looks so funny. I don't know if there's anything else we can do here. Can't leave. I'd rather let the flowers bloom in peace. Okay. Look, mountain. The coast mountains are magnificent. This is the first time you've seen the mountains. They're even grander than you imagined. Look at the bush. The bushes cling to the steep hill. You admire their tenacity. Look, sky. The sky is brilliant blue, bluer than you've ever seen. All right. Big bush. Let's bring it home. We had to get the flavor text. We had it. We needed it. You excitedly use your trusty trowel to dig under the bush. You don't have to dig very far before you hit a wooden cigar box. Inside the cigar box, you find a purple velvet drawstring bag and an envelope. There's a letter inside the envelope. You unfold it and start reading aloud. If you're reading this, it means I never made it back here to retrieve this box. That could be for many reasons, but the two that preoccupy my mind are the following. Number one, that I've managed to find a place where I belong among people who love me and that I never felt the need to return. The other reason is that I'm dead. But seeing as this is the middle of nowhere, I'm going to hope that you're someone I care about and that I told you about this. Whomever you are, friend or stranger, whether you came into this by love or luck, you are welcome to it. All I ask is that you tell no one where it came from, because I did find the contents of this bag near Skagway in a secret spot. One day I hope this area will recover from the harm that was caused by the gold rush, by people like me. It's my fervent wish that nature reclaims Skagway and that the waters will run clear once more. Be well. Signed, Margot. You carefully open the drawstring bag. Inside you find gold nuggets of varying sizes, the largest of which is as big as a walnut. Oh, wow! You take the bag of gold nuggets and put them in your pocket. It doesn't feel right to leave the box empty. With a flash of inspiration, you realize exactly what you should do. You place your samples from Crimson into the cigar box. Well, the ones with the diamonds in them, particularly the ones with the crimson titular diamonds. Back into the ground where they belong. I'll keep your secret, Margot, if you'll keep mine. Well done. You carefully rebury the cigar box beneath the bush. Margot picked a perfect spot to conceal her treasures. Even now, you can hardly tell what you've just dug. Or where you just dug. I suppose that's that. Take one last look at the mountains, rolling hills, and wonder what Margot was thinking and how she was feeling as she stood in this spot. I wish I could have told you about the peaceful, beautiful place you'd find and the people you'd meet who'd care about you. Goodbye, Margot. Goodbye. You trek back to the dilapidated dock. The fisherman's waiting for you, his nets full of halibut. You thank him for waiting and tell him you had a lovely hike and board his vessel. It's time to go home. Oh, look at this! Oh, you couldn't resist keeping one of the blazingly bright red crystals. You earned it. You earned it. Oh, great little background there. You did a good job with sussing out the motives and actions of the other guests, but you missed the mark on a few things. You scored 20 out of 24 during your pre-departure ponderings. You performed satisfactorily during your interview with the ranger, but you could have been more helpful. You scored 14 out of 19 in your interview. You did pretty well in your investigation and reporting of Margot's death. 7 out of 8 for your investigation. Carl Leffler, aka Albert Respa, was tried and found guilty of sabotage on the railway bridge, attempted sabotage of the Sulaks, espionage, fraud, theft, and a litany of minor charges. And thanks, Summer. Yeah, pretty good. I'm pleased with that. As a first play, not knowing anything about it, kind of just going in and trying to be as thorough as possible, very pleased. Good efforts. And yeah, what a great little ending this has been so far. I agree. For D Deluxe, really, really well written. I love that ending section is like tearing up. Very nice. He was incarcerated at Kingston Penitentiary until his death 12 years later of a heart attack. Not so beautiful, but perhaps quite fitting. The Sulaks were patrolled by the Northwest Mounted Police for the duration of the Great War, and no other sabotage attempts were made. Thanks to this vigilance, Canadian supply lines along the Great Lake waterways remained uninterrupted. This played an important part in Commonwealth war efforts and crucially contributed to the Allied victory. Orvis Shaw was found guilty of being an accomplice in Evans' kidnapping, forgery, and attempted fraud. You helped clear him of charges involving Margot's death because you'd been privy to the conversation you've had with Nessa in the orchard. He was disbarred, served 5 years in a medium security prison. Upon release, grateful for your assistance in partially clearing his name, he dedicated himself to community service. Okay. Got him on the right path. Margot was laid rest in Crimson's lushly overgrown cemetery. An informal service was attended by Evan, Jack, Nathan, and Kimmy. It was a consolation to the attendees that Nessa was brought to justice for all of her crimes. Kimmy Kishiro stayed on at the lodge until after the autumn migration of birds, when she returned back to Vancouver to be with her family. From then on, she'd visit Crimson for the spring and autumn migrations, as well as the cormorants' nesting season every summer. I love that Kimmy just, like, perhaps one of the more sketchy people initially out of this whole group, ended up just being exactly what she says she was. Just friggin' loves birds. Just loves birds. So good. Only a couple hours of this playthrough. Such a love letter to... Yes! Makes you want to dig up some old King's Quest. Absolutely. Fancy. So I did see a little in the King's Quest speedrun Discord that something must came through for that. And also recently, for anybody who did miss the news on that, somebody just put out an AGI demake of King's Quest 6. So if you're like, boy, I really miss having a text parser and all of the old stuff, you can revisit that classic game, but harder. Jack remained at the lodge, continuing to take care of it. After Evan legally transferred the lodge and lands to Nathan Cardinal and his family. When Jack became old and creaky, the Cardinals in turn took care of him. Aw. Nathan Cardinal and Evan Richards arranged the transfer of the lodge and lands to the Cardinal family, effective immediately. Considering recent events, they agreed it was a good idea. The secret of the Crimson Diamonds remained hidden. Nessa Crabbe managed to evade authorities for a while, but because of her strong case against her in Margot's murder, as well as the charges of kidnapping and attempted fraud, she became Canada's most wanted fugitive, with the wanted posters circulating all over Canada. She was apprehended, stood trial, and was found guilty on all counts. She lived the rest of her days in Kingston Penitentiary. Evan Richards lived the rest of his days in his beloved lodge, but he always feared that Nessa was lurking in the woods and staring into the windows at night, seeking revenge. He kept all the curtains firmly shut, rarely went outside, and drank a lot to cope. This is what we could have done better. Evan deserves better. Upon his death, he was buried alongside Margot and his parents in Crimson, which is exactly what he wanted. You wish you could have done more to help him. You had a pretty strong case against Nessa, if only she hadn't gotten away. We missed something. You continue working diligently as a clerk at the Royal Canadian Museum. Eventually, you are accepted to the University of Toronto in the Department of Geology and Paleontology as an undergraduate. Professor Plummer spoke highly of your fieldwork in Crimson in his letter of recommendation. Although your findings weren't revolutionary, he tells you that impeccable, exhaustive work, regardless of result, is the bedrock of any scientific discipline. He's very proud of you. A few months later, you receive a letter from Ranger Murdoch, praising your investigative prowess and tenacity in bringing Margot's killer to justice, and helping to foil the sabotage attempt at the Sioux Locks. He said you're a natural detective, and that he hopes your paths will cross again someday, perhaps with a little less death. But that's a very nice note. Welcome in, Ryan. Hello, hello. We'll get to these Bonnie's treats soon. I assume we're in the home stretch here. You keep the secret of Crimson Diamonds, though sometimes you wonder what your life would have been like had you published your findings. You sleep well at night knowing that you've helped preserve a beautiful place. Thanks for playing. Bam. What a terrific video game. Like, what a terrific video game. My goodness. I'm sad it's over. It was so good. Next time, save Evan, but sell Crimson out. Save Evan, but at a price. Absolutely. Yeah, wow, what a great game. AGS with some bangers here. Recently, for me at least. Like, playing through, like, Hobbs Barrow, Crimson Diamond. There's a bunch that, you know, just so many good games coming out now. So good. All right, have a good night, Freddy Deluxe. Thanks again for the sub earlier. Have a great rest of your night. Oh. what a really, like, I don't know, just great story. Lots of intrigue, lots of unexpected turns. It was like exactly what she loved in those old text parser games, but also like in a way that was like, it felt modern and completely different and new. You know what I mean? It was sort of taking like the gameplay loop that you loved and putting it in a game that was, you know, obviously this came out, what, a month-ish ago, I suppose. I don't know. I can't say enough about it. What a lovely video game. And we're gonna have to go back. I've got to, this will be a game I certainly go and get all the achievements for. Obviously, I have my sights set on the speed run at some point. I'll definitely do a couple. Maybe this will be something. Actually, this is on the wheel somewhere, so this may make an appearance on the wheel very soon. As to start working on this myself. But yeah, we should go through and try to get the perfect playthrough at some point.